Good morning in the United States. Good evening in Asia. Welcome to the China Environment Forum's Green Tea Chat. My name's Jennifer Turner, and for 21 years, I've had the joy of working at the Wilson Center, exploring energy and environmental challenges in China. And I've also been creating special projects that focus on Asia writ large. Today's Green Tea Chat is part of our Turning the Tide on Plastic Waste in Asia, and it's supported by the Japan Foundation's Center for Global Partnership. And we're just wrapping up year one, and it's been really fabulous. A huge learning experience for me. I mean, I'm a China person, and this year we were diving deep into Indonesia. And so we created webinars and publications that have had Chinese, Indonesian, other Southeast Asians, Japanese and American experts who were talking about some of the policy, the business, the technology, and also the business and NGO actions that could help stem the tide of plastic waste leaking into the ocean. Now today, we're going to take the conversation to two amazing environmentalists who are scientists as well, who have been protecting Indonesia's Brantas River for 20 years. Daru Setyorini is the water keeper for the Brantas River, and 20 years ago, she co-founded an NGO called Ecoton with her husband, Prigi Arisandi, who is a 2011 Goldman Prize winner for his work on plastic waste. So we're going to be, I have my tea. Hopefully some of you in the audience also have yours, and that you in the audience, that please look at the underneath this webinar, that you'll see Twitter, Wilson at Wilson CEF, and also an email to Ray E. Lee. You could submit questions for Daru and Prigi here today. And so I'm going to start the conversation, sip my tea as they answer. I'm going to start with Prigi. Prigi, could you tell us a little bit about why you and Daru started Ecoton?
Thank you, Jennifer. I start with my concern that the river is where I play was polluted by wastewater from the paper factory, which was disposed without being treated into the water, into the river, yeah. Because the river is the source of life for us, and my grandmother worked fishing in the river from night to the morning and exchange the fish she got for the rice, for vegetables, yeah. 30-40 years ago, yeah. And then when I was a student in university, my river is turned into the waste dump, and there was often of dead mass fish. So in 1996, I started doing research, identify source of the pollution, and as a biology student, I also researched the impact of the pollution on fish population and mercury contamination in the fish. So yeah, I worry that that my children cannot swimming again in the river, cannot fishing again in the river. So I must fight. I must, make something like a media that people can monitoring our river. So we establish Ecoton.
And what does Ecoton stand for?
Yeah.
It's a ecological, wait, I have to get it right. Make sure we give the full name. It's the Ecological Observation and Wetlands Conservation Organization.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Prigi and maybe Daru, you can jump in as well. Could you tell us a little bit about what are the main sources of plastic waste that you're seeing in the Brantas River, and maybe tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you've been using to try to go after some of these plastic problems? Prigi, do you want to start, or Daru? How about Prigi? Okay.
Yeah. We have the river is very important for us, and then there is so many people living, along the river, because there is no strict regulation to prohibit people stay in the river. So we have 1,000 of house, built in the river bank. So of course there is so many domestic waste flushing to the river. And then if you see there is so many housing in the river bank, so they will trashing, dumping the trash into the river directly. So why there is so many? There is two source. One from the paper company that I said before, that we have 12 pulp and paper that using waste paper as a resource for the raw material for the paper. So they dumping wastewater without treatment to the river, and then we have a lot of people who living in the river bank that dispose domestic waste without treatment to the river directly, and then they dumping the plastic waste to the river because government not provide facility to manage the waste, and no, there is no monitoring from the government to the company that dispose wastewater without treatment to the river.
I just realized I forgot to ask the question, because maybe we don't have a PowerPoint with a map. Where is the Brantas River? I just realized I didn't have us define that. Daru, where is the Brantas River in Indonesia?
Yeah, so Brantas River is located in East Java province. It flows along the more than 250 kilometers and passes 17 cities in East Java, and 60% of population in East Java live in Brantas River Basin. So it's very important river for East Java. And if we talk about the source of plastic waste, Brantas is reported as the top 10 of the river that release plastic waste to the world ocean. So it's also related with the population. Yeah, we have more than 17 million people live in the river basin, and only about 30% coverage of the waste management facility that provided by government. That's why throwing trash into waterways is common and normal for many people. And most of people tolerate that habit, including government. We have the law that forbid that action, but there is no enforcement. So people just continue throwing waste into the river. And also waste burning. A lot of people dump their trash not only into the water, but also along the riverbank. And they do open burning to treat their waste, to get rid with their waste. And the ashes also still continue some plastic scraps and release microplastic into the waterways that will contaminate our drinking water source, and also our the fish, our seafood, because Brantas River will discharge into the eastern coast of Surabaya, that really important fish resources, for the people in Surabaya city.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of times when people are talking about ocean plastics and like rivers are delivering it, but I think it's really vital to note that the rivers and the people who live along them are also being impacted by the plastic pollution. Maybe this is actually a really perfect time to ask you a question, Daru. So you are the water keeper of the Brantas River. And to be honest, I think a lot of people don't know what a water keeper is. So can you tell us, what is a water keeper and what do you do? Is this a job? Is it a volunteer? Tell us a little bit more about it.
It's a hobby. It's a passion. So Waterkeeper Alliance is the world's fastest growing grassroots movement that uniting waterkeepers across the globe to focus on citizen action on issues that affect our waterways, from pollution to climate change. So Ecoton became a member of Waterkeeper Alliance since 2018. And we want to protect our river, so it can be the river that swimmable, drinkable, and fishable water for our future generation. And we're standing up for the community rights to clean water. And in Brantas River, we do a lot of advocacy towards against the water pollution. Yeah, we have river patrol, river detective program to monitor industrial wastewater discharge, and we push government to increase access to waste management service, especially in rural area along Brantas River, because right now it's very limited access to the waste management service. And we're also promoting natural infrastructure to increase resilience to climate change and climate disaster. And we have riverine habitat restoration. We create riparian park along the river as a native fish habitat. And of course, we also conduct ecological research, youth and women education, and developing ecotourism program to increase community assessment, community awareness in sustainable river management. And about plastic, we have diaper evacuate brigade. So we clean up the bridges from the diapers that being dumped by people that passing the bridge, because bridge is the favorite place to throw garbage, especially diapers. We clean up the bridge and we ask, or we like even we order, yeah, to the city environmental agency to pick up the diaper waste that we already collected. That's some of our activity too.
So from the sounds of it, you must have hundreds and hundreds of people working in Ecoton, but I know you told me before the talk you only have 12 people who work at Ecoton. I mean, how many volunteers do you have to help you do all this work?
Yeah, every month we open the recruitment, like for the student from university for internship, volunteer. So we receive more than 40 students every month to involve in our activity. So it's from various faculty, sociology, biology, oceanography. So we try to make all people has responsibility for our river. Yeah. So we receive a lot of various background of the internship student.
But also because I know that because when you guys started, I was reading that, you said at the beginning, you started your Ecoton because you were doing research on it. So I'm assuming too, do the students also help you do some research and data gathering to help you in your work as well, in your advocacy?
Yeah, of course, we are focused on, for my foundation, the bottom, our advocacy is a research. We do everything based on research. So we always try to like advantage laboratory, advantage method. So we try to modify to, to more people involved, but with scientific background and basic.
That's great.
Yeah.
You're clearly giving these students a lot of and faculty a lot of great information. Hopefully you're inspiring them to also later on become water keepers and NGO activists or scientists that will work in this field. But just quickly back to Daru. I read that you created something called the River Defender Women's Group. Could you tell us a little bit about that specific group? It's a volunteer group, or are they like new water keepers? Tell me about them.
Yes, River Defender Women's Group is a network of women activists from 4 cities in Brantas River to deal with plastic pollution in the river. So we create this network to facilitate women that already have commitment and have the anxiety about their rivers, and they want to actively involve to protect their river. So we give them skills and information about the river ecology and also about the environmental law, so they know that we have right to clean water and healthy environment. And we bring them to the river to identify and to count how many illegal dump sites along the river bank. And we found there are 320 illegal dump sites. We sailing along 42 kilometers of Brantas River in the lower reach. And we did it in 4 days. So after they have their data, their finding, they also do the brand audits. So they found there are 5 plastic polluters in Brantas River. There are Wings Group, Indofood, Unilever, Forisa, and Garuda Food. And then they filing lawsuit against 3 plastic producers where the factory is located in East Java. So I think Prigi can tell you more detail about the lawsuit because Prigi is the one who always joined them to attend the trial.
Okay, over to you, Prigi. So now we've learned about this amazing
Yeah, yeah.
women's defenders group, and then you went to the courts with them. Tell us about a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's about the how to make a women who live along the Brantas River is become a river representative, because sometimes women afraid to report the pollution. Sometimes they confuse where we must report it when my river is polluted. So we train them to how to collect evidence, how to measure the pH, DO and TDS, and then we using local wisdom about how many fish you can find 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and today. So we can compare the pollution according with the fish population. So with this skill, we try them to writing letter to the EPA, writing letter to the governor, to the mayor. So we want them, we want to convince them that you have right to get clean water. And now our water, our river is polluted. So you must do something else. So we try to using litigation. In Indonesia, we afraid about the justice. Litigation is expensive. Litigation is for the high class people. So we want convince them that all people had right in equal in the justice. So we in Indonesia we happy because litigation is people can do litigation. So in Indonesia we have 3 kind of litigation. One is a legal standing, a citizen lawsuit, and class action. For the Brantas River, we try all of litigation. So the women group is try to class action. So they for the 4 to 5 months they collect the evidence, the pollution. So and then they socialization, inform the result that we get from the sailing the river to their community. So we have 5 community, and each community have more than 100 people. So we have 500 people. So 100 people is represented by 1 woman. So they can go into the court to sue the producer that dumping that produce a sachet in the river. And then we going to the in the country court, district court. But unfortunately, we lost at the country court. But we have planned to continue the high court level. Yeah, but we believe that we can win because the lawsuit has not touched the substance of the lawsuit, but there are still a different perception in the administration and the requirement of the lawsuit, because class action from the environmental is still rare from Indonesia. So we must try to try to using our right for litigation.
But I know that because I know from my work in China, where we've also seen environmental NGOs bringing used to be class action, now doing more public interest lawsuits, you know, and plastic is becoming one too, that sometimes they would lose their case, but because of the reporting in the news media, things would change because it still raises the
Yeah,
issue. So, I mean, I know you
yeah, yeah,
lost the case,
yeah.
but have you seen some, I mean, and this is where I want to shift the conversation with some of your work. Can you tell us about some of your successes? I mean, I know that the Daru,
Yeah,
organizing and training these people and these volunteers, that's a huge success.
yeah.
But can you tell us, you know, some other kinds of success? Maybe have you formed
Daru,
partnerships?
Daru have a true experience how the polluter, the industry, you know, afraid and work harder to clean up the river. Yeah. Daru, you can tell us
Yeah,
what your experience.
in year 2000, the industry in Brantas River usually discharge untreated wastewater. During the day and night, we can see clearly how bad is their wastewater that discharge into the river. The color is so black and thick and yeah, different color. We can see yellow and red and black and gray. Yeah, and then Ecoton filed a lawsuit against the governor because of they neglected the pollution, industrial pollution. And then we won the lawsuit. So government have to control the industries, so they only can discharge treated wastewater. And the governor, after the lawsuit, also increased the budget for the environmental agency, so they have more funding to conduct industrial monitoring and also to support the industry to improve their wastewater treatment facilities. And now we have the regulation that industry should have a wastewater discharge permit. And now it's really enforced strictly in East Java province. So we can say that East Java is can be one of the strictest province that implement the wastewater discharge permit. So if government found the industry discharge wastewater above the wastewater standard, then they will fine the industry or give us a warning letter 3 times. Yeah, if they don't do improvement after the third warning letter, the industry can be sued by the government. So now the industrial pollution control is improved, and the problem we have now is more on the domestic waste, like a wastewater discharge from household. We don't have wastewater treatment facilities, so the gray water, black water from the household is still dumped untreated into the river, and also the solid waste. That's our biggest problem now, because the industry already improved. Although some bad industries still discharge untreated wastewater, but they don't do it like obviously. They do it during the midnight or very early morning. So, and sometimes during heavy rain. So yeah, it's not clearly, it's not obviously happen now.
Wow.
I have one experience.
Yeah,
you know,
please.
if you have case in the court, the bank is not giving you loan, so this become a problem from for the company if you sue the company. With our case, you know, see this with the class action, we have case in the court. So the factory that we sue is, you know, declare to the bank, declare to the government, you know, authority, monetary authority, that they didn't have problem anymore when the court is you know, finish the court. So they worry about if we sue them.
Wow. So that's, I mean, that's, so it shows the kind of, I'm going to do a pun, the ripple effect, the ripples
Yeah.
that come from your work. positive ripples. We just have like 5 minutes left, and I want to make sure I get some other really good stories. Well, one quick question. So you talked about that you've been suing the government, but are there I mean, the Indonesian government has been passing lots of, they've got an EPR law. They've stated that they're going to work to reduce plastic leakage by 70% by, I think it's 2030. So are you working in partnership with some of the local governments as well, and helping them to I mean, you sounds like you're doing their job in some ways, the monitoring.
Yeah. So Ecoton is a member of Alliance for Zero Waste Indonesia. There are 9 members, including Greenpeace Indonesia, WALHI, and ICEL, and several strong NGOs. So we also partnering with government. We promoting more on the upstream plastic management. So we push government to put high priority on reduction and to shift from the single-use system of product distribution to the refill system. So that's our mission with AZWI. But unfortunately, government program, although we have a lot of initiative by the national government, like marine plastic, we have national plastic action plan, but I think most of the activities still deal with the downstream solution. So government promoting like trash cleanup, river cleanup, beach cleanup, and the worst thing is government promoting waste burning with the incinerator, or providing small burning equipment in the village along the riverbank in Citarum. So that's not the good solution. That's not the real solution, and we against them. So what we do in AZWI, we developing a model of decentralized waste management system in the village through Zero Waste Cities program. So we empowering the village government to provide the waste management system that can reach the whole population in the village. So they can utilize that, they can produce compost and more recyclables, because we encourage them also to do waste segregation at source.
Yeah, we have good relation with the local government to develop a zero waste city. So we create a zero city program in the village along the river. So we push local government to provide zero waste facility in each village. And I think the most important is how we make noisy, because we always work with the journalists, with the media, to upload to inform about the situation, diapers, illegal plastic waste. So with the media, government afraid. So I think the key is how you make noisy in every city along the Bantas River. After you after you have attention from the government, they want to sit together and speak, so we can give the solution, give the real data, the real information about the real situation.
Well, it's good. I mean, this is good noise, right? And I'm sure that there are people even in the national government.
Noise. Yeah.
Well, it's green noise, right? That it's a way that I'm sure there are a lot of people in the government who do appreciate this, because I mean, it's a huge challenge that Indonesia is facing. Yeah. But I've been really struck in talking with you and other environmental NGOs in Indonesia that there's a lot of focus on kind of bottom up, that building the capacity. I mean, you have national policy, but you guys really, through your noise and your education and your networking, really seem to be helping to move Indonesia on a great path. We're coming to the last 1 minute. Any final? I want to thank you for the work that you're doing. Daru, any final comment?
Yeah, I think we have to start with our own self and our family to consistently trying to refuse single-use plastic if we want to really solve the plastic crisis, and start segregating our waste at home, produce compost in our own home, and shift to reusable and refillable product.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much. I mean, you guys, your story, your work is going from the whole plastic pipeline, thinking about changing production, products, and people's behavior. Really, you know, congratulations on all this great work that you're doing. And we will bring you back, because in year 2 of our Japan Foundation CGP grant, we're going to be focusing even more on rivers in China and other Southeast Asian countries. So we will have you back. Thank you very much. And I hope everyone listening to sign up for our mailing list, because we've got more on plastic and more other China energy stuff coming down the pike. Thank you again. Have a really good morning and evening in Indonesia. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, Prigi. Bye, Daru.
Bye-bye, Jennifer.